Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get acquainted with the bones of the skull and the face. And the first one will start in the superior portion of the skull, part of the cranium, and that is the frontal bone. And working our way down, we have a number of bones that form your bony orbit where your eyeball sits. The superior portion, again, is formed by the frontal bone. And then we have the part of the lateral and posterior portion, which would be the sphenoid. Right here, this bone that forms your cheekbone is called the zygomatic bone. Then you have the maxilla, which is this bone right here. You'll notice that there are two little holes on either side of the nasal area. Those are called the infraorbital foramen. That's where important nerves pass through to innervate the face. And then continuing on the bony orbit, you have the medial portion of the bony orbit. There's two bones that form the medial portion. A small rectangular shaped bone in the front here, that's called the lacrimal bone, and one immediately posterior, which means behind it, that is the ethmoid bone. Alright, so in the bridge of your nose, there's two bones called the nasal bones. So easy to remember. And then you have this dividing line that divides your nasal septum into what we call sagittal sections here. You have your perpendicular plate, that's part of the ethmoid, that again forms the medial part of the bony orbit. And down here you have a bone called the vomer, and that's going to separate the lower portion of your nasal septum into left and right halves. So as I stated, this bone right here is called the maxilla. You have the maxillary teeth right here. And then your lower jaw is formed by a bone called the mandible. And just like the maxilla, the mandible has two little holes which are called the mental foramen. And those are the major bones of the anterior view of the skull.